The strongest forms of Monster vs. Godzilla is a very big topic and still highly debated today, but there's obviously a few individuals that are within this question who are significantly outclass the other forms of the big G-Man himself. This all started with 2019, where they introduced a new form of Godzilla with fighting his most arch nemesis Ghidorah. They gave him a nuke that was actually able to allow him to reach critical mass and get significantly stronger over time. This was unlike any other forms, since all the other forms didn't really have this property even while being amped. This form also allows him to reach his most infamous state and most debatable state to today, Thermo Godzilla, aka Burning Godzilla, which allowed him to defeat one of his strongest enemies, Ghidorah. So, this brings up the question, how strong is Nuke AMP in comparison to his other forms of Godzilla? Is he above evolved? Is he below energized? Is he above energized? Is he way below evolved? Is he way below energized? How strong is he? And is he overrated? So what even is Nuke AMP? What does he really do? Nuke AMP is a very special form of Godzilla that allows him to get stronger over time, which also aids him in his battle against his greatest enemy, King Ghidorah, the same Ghidorah who stated massively above all the other Titans. Even with not even trying, he's still above most of them. Another thing that this bomb does is it's an outlier. The Oxygen Destroyer was made specifically for Godzilla. Only reason why it didn't really work on Ghidorah was from outer space. He's an alien. He doesn't really need to breathe. But this bomb also allows Godzilla to gain a massive amount of more energy, and also with the ability to reach critical mass eventually. Though it does take time, it's sort of like a ticking time bomb. But what's within this question, what would this explosion look like? What would it do? How strong is it? We don't really know. All we know is that he exploded with energy. It could it literally physically explode him, or it could just put him on when it does explode, or it could just put him on a Dominion Godzilla standard. We don't really know what the bomb does. But all that we do know is that this form is exponentially above base and powerful enough to pretty easily beat Ghidorah and tank his bites and his gravity beams significantly more easier. Though towards the end of the fight with Nuke AMP, Ghidorah eventually amps and gets his own amp and beats Nuke AMP up pretty badly. So now we get into the question, how strong is Nuke AMP? So let's see how strong Nuke AMP Godzilla really is. First, we'll have to go up to his base form, because Nuke AMP is contingent to his base form and an amp off of base form. So we are going to have to see how strong base G19 is compared to everything else at the time. Base G19 is widely considered to be one of the stronger versions of Godzilla, or just his base self. He's stated above G21 and is obviously above stuff like 2014. Like what Dorothy constantly says, he's bigger, his claws are stronger to fight a stronger opponent, which is Ghidorah. Ghidorah, on the other hand, is a big benchmark for this scaling, since he does go pretty relative to Godzilla in Antarctica. They're pretty evenly matched, though people have to remember that it's mainly due to his gravity beams and such, though this won't be as relevant till later. Ghidorah is constantly referenced to also be the strongest thing on the time, and also naturally holds back on his opponents. So everything else should also be a massively below Ghidorah and stuff, besides for Godzilla, of course. Godzilla is constantly implied to be the strongest thing at the time, and the only thing that can actually defeat Ghidorah or withstand him. As we see in the Arctic, Ghidorah quickly overwhelms Godzilla with his heads, and is also able to, I guess, not really pierce him, but do some significant damage to him. His gravity beams are actually able to throw Godzilla in the water and stun him and stuff. And Godzilla only really gets the massive advantage when he's in the water. Once he's in the water, he obviously quickly overpowers Ghidorah, rips off his heads, easily beats him, until obviously the Oxygen Destroyer comes to help him. Nuke AMP, on the other hand, gets amped through this Oxygen Destroyer, and we see his fight with Ghidorah. He's faster, he's more energetic, etc., etc., etc. When he clashes into Ghidorah, he throws him pretty easily, and actually is able to overpower Ghidorah's entire body. The only important part with this is Godzilla was already physically stronger than Ghidorah's heads, as shown in in the Antarctica to fight, he quickly overpowers his head, so this isn't that much relevant until we get into the later part. We do know he gets significantly stronger, and towards the fight, we see Godzilla able to just withstand the heads with ease and not really like take any much significant damage. Like unlike the beginning of the fight, he just throws Ghidorah around and overpowers him with pretty ease difficulty. He doesn't really struggle all that much. Though, important part to this is he does get stronger and actually goes through a meltdown. So he kinda could be argued as being weaker. He's definitely more durable, but he might be getting like a little bit more tired because he's about to literally explode. So, I mean, if you could argue he's weaker, but I don't really take that to be the case. I just think he just gets a little bit stronger. Now to get also to a bigger question. How big is this amp? A lot of people like to say and use this one multiplier that says he's a 6 times. So is Nuke AMP really 6 times base? This is a very ridiculous argument that I've been seeing for the past few months, and people try and argue for it. It's genuinely the worst argument I've ever seen. Like, this actually might be the worst than, like, Mecha Godzilla holding back on Kong or Mecha being 40%. This argument is genuinely horrible. It is ridiculous. I don't want to see it anymore, but basically the argument comes from when they're in the Argo, and the heat temperature for Godzilla's body heat says 230 degrees. Get it? 230 degrees. And they use 2014, not even 2019, atomic breath to say that, oh, since he's 20,000 degrees, therefore, Nuke AMP is going to be 230,000 degrees for some reason. First of all, numerals can't have references. And number 3, it says 230. It doesn't say 230,000. It just says 230. And the problem with this argument is the atomic breath. It's the atomic breath, not his body heat. I don't know where people are getting this from. His atomic breath is 200,000 degrees. Those are two different properties. His body temperature and his atomic breath are two totally different things. Another thing to totally just destroy this argument is, first of all, if it was 230,000 degrees, everything would, like, just melt around him. Everything would melt. Like, the entire city would just melt. There would be nothing here. The city would just be gone. And number 2, we get from the HBO guidebook for the 2021 GVK 2021. It confirms Thermo's body temperature is over 1,000 degrees, and we know over 1,000 degrees is able to burn buildings, and that's how much Thermo's just stated to be. So it must be over 1,500 degrees, which is enough to burn buildings. His body temperature during the fight with Ghidorah was 230,000 degrees. Everything would melt. That's way above 1,500 degrees. Another thing that I wanted to mention is just because you're 2 times the heat doesn't mean you're 2 times stronger. It means you're 16 times more energetic, using Jacobi's law in terms of heat. You actually look it up, it's a real life thing. But if you're 2 times stronger, you're 16 times more energetic, aka stronger. And if you're 6 times stronger, it's like in the thousands. Like, you're thousands of times stronger if you're 6 times warmer. It's like crazy. Obviously, Nuke AMP isn't thousands and thousands and thousands of times stronger than his base. Everyone knows that. Like, there's no way Ghidorah is 1,000 times Base Godzilla. So, that's just basically the argument I really wanted to get out the way today. Anyways, besides for the multipliers, another people thing like to compare is energized leaking and Nuke AMP about to explode. First of all, these are 2 different properties. We don't know what the explosion is going to be like. What do they define as an explosion? What does it look like? Is he physically going to explode? Is energy just going to come out of him? Is it just going to be like aftershock? Is he actually just going to go back to his Dominion form? Is he just going to pop with blood everywhere? Like, we don't really know what an explosion means. We can't really get an identification of it. All we know is that he was going to release a lot of energy and maybe harm himself or just, like, kill everything around him, including the city, Ghidorah, etc., or maybe even kill himself. We don't know. Thing with this is leaking is just a clear certification that he's just significantly stronger than his base. You can't really compare these two. Like, I guess you could say Nuke AMP would have more force in the explosion, but like they're both highly amped forms, so you still don't know what an explosion is. Energized leaking, like just imagine it like this. Imagine a ball like leaking with goo, but then imagine a ball exploding with goo. It just has more force. They both have a lot of energy. Neither of them can contain their energy. They shouldn't be that far apart from each other. A Nuke AMP just his property, we don't really know what the oxygen destroyer does via this property. All we know is that it just makes it like a ticking time bomb. Like it could the oxygen destroyer could easily affect Nuke AMP in a different way, or like control his energy. We do know it just does something to him that makes it like that. We don't really have much certification. We don't know how much more energy it gives him. We don't really have a multiplier. We don't really have anything. All we know is that he's above base, but just can explode. But the problem is both of these characters are going to leak or explode with their energy. Neither of them can be contained, obviously. So that kind of wraps it up for today's video. I'm not going to say exactly where Nuke AMP goes, because I want to say that for a different topic later on today, with my Ghidorah vs. Shimo video or a Thermo vs. Evo video. You guys can post who you guys want me to make in the comments down below. I'm not really, this main video was just how much stronger Nuke AMP is from base. I will also be making a remake of Godzilla vs. Ghidorah, because my take on this has drastically changed. So, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys on next week's video.